Okay. All right, y'all. Get ready for a long one. Oh my god. Oh my god. This week. Oh no, I don't want to say that I'm Shadiq. I'm Shadiq.
You're Shadiq.
Ugh.
I'm not anybody. I'm tired, man. Just
Yeah.
for what we got to deal with this week.
God.
I'm just tired.
So we're just gonna hop into it because there's just too much. There's just too much. So we're gonna go show by show, and we're going down the list on livechart.me, so you can follow along with us if you want to. You can watch the trailer and then you can do whatever after. But yeah, it's a lot of shit. It's a lot of shit. So
Yeah. Ugh. So before we get into the previews, one thing to point out is that, as usual, we'll try to prioritize the stuff that we're actually gonna give time. We're not previewing every show. Obviously, it's just way too much.
yeah,
And then there are some things that especially returning shows that we know a lot about, but maybe, they don't need to be described.
yeah,
We're either
because we
watching
already
them
know
or
what's
we're
going
not.
down.
Right.
All
So yeah,
right.
we'll start at the top.
Okay, you go first.
Okay, so returners. We have the second core, Eminence and Shadow. I think we talked a lot about it on
Mm-hmm.
our
Mm-hmm.
show this season. I
Yep.
like
Yep.
it. I wasn't sure if the core was going to get split and have a gap. It looks like they're running right through, which is
Yeah.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Continuity and so on. It means that also they don't have to end the middle part on some stupid cliffhanger, and then we gotta wait,
Yeah. So it'll end a
three,
little
four
bit
months.
earlier than everything else, but that's fine.
Yeah, because this is only 20 episodes total for the whole two-part,
Run.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have anything else to say other than I will be watching this because I've been watching it already and I really enjoy it, and I don't have anything other else to add other than I don't know if we have how much of the light novel we've actually covered, because if it's not that much, then maybe we see it again in a year. If it's quite a bit, then it
Or
might
this
be a while
fall
before we get
even.
anything else. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like maybe there actually no, there's not. There might not be because they've started gotcha games off less material before. So
Right.
yeah. Yeah, I'll be watching that too. All right. For my next one, I'm gonna continue to watch Blue Lock, hands down. Actually really excited that they're continuing it on. I didn't know if they were gonna take a break. But no, we're just straight on through. Great. Because I need to know what the fuck's gonna happen. That's about it. It's one of the hypest shows
Yeah.
of the season for me. I'm really enjoying it.
They also got super lucky that Japan went somewhat deep in the World Cup, so there was an extra
Yeah.
level of interest in, just the relevance of the story, as silly as it is. So I'm just happy that real life happened to work out for them.
Yeah.
So that's what's up. I'll also be watching Blue Lock. It's a I knew it was a split core. Again, wasn't sure if it was running back to back. It's good. I wish that there was a little more planning in some of these other shows, to give us that, you know, experience of a whole season. I think Jujutsu Kaisen
Yeah.
benefited from it in its first season,
Hell
whereas if they
yeah.
had kind of done split 12 episode cores, and I think some momentum would have been lost. It would have been a huge show, no question about that.
Well,
But
I
um,
definitely agree with that because I think the last episode of the first part was it was really chill. Like it wasn't
yeah,
like super action or anything. So if they had stopped it there and then skipped the season, it wouldn't have been the same response.
yeah, I agree. Um, okay, so that's about it. I guess the next one on my list, and if we skip anything, we'll jump around. We got to do it.
We'll jump
I
right back
will
to it.
actually be watching a little bit of Misfitted Demon Academy, mainly because
Okay.
I mainly because I feel embarrassed that I gave up on it instantly, and it turned out to the first season. And it turned out to be a lot of fun. It's a dumb show, but it's the kind of stupid that I wound up appreciating. I mean, I like dumb stuff, so it's not like it being stupid is in itself a problem.
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
no
yeah.
idea what the season is going to cover. I didn't really even do more than just check the preview, but I didn't recognize anything. And I obviously it's not a big enough series to get spoiled. So I
Yeah.
wonder how they kind of continue on after the resolution to kind of that first. mystery that they dealt with in the towards the end of the first season. Obviously, there's more girls. Obviously, there's more stupid powers and other things like that. But yeah, I'm cool with following on and being lightly entertained. Will I be watching this every week? Probably not. Will I probably find some point at the midpoint of the season to like pick up 6 to 7 episodes and be like, oh yeah, actually I
Run
remember I
through
like
it.
this.
Yeah.
Probably. How about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna be checking this one out also. I still haven't finished the first season, but I've enjoyed what I've watched so far. So I'm probably gonna be the same way. I'm gonna marathon it when it's like the first core or by the core basically. Like every 4 episodes I'll check back in and be like, what's going on? But yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be weekly up to date on that. It's not there are plenty of other shows I'm definitely interested in doing that on.
So what else? What's your next
My next one is Bofuri season 2. I will absolutely be
I
watching
figured
this.
you was
Oh my god, man! Yeah, I be telling niggas all the time. Bofuri is so good. It's so good, man. It is slice of life, comedy, action. Like it's just the perfect balance of everything. This girl literally just is. This is her first MMO, and she just randomly falls into power ups back to back to back. It isn't an isekai or anything like that. She's literally just like playing an online game, and her friend is one of the like top players in some other shit, and she's just brand new to this shit, and she's just like, oh, I'm not gonna follow what everyone else does. I'm just gonna like make my character how I think I should make my character. And she's like, I don't want to get hurt, so I'm gonna put all my shit in the defense. And then she just starts to become insane. Amazing, amazing. By the end of the first season, all I can do is just smile throughout the whole episodes because it was just so much fun and ridiculousness, and yeah, it's great. So I'm pretty if it's the same Silverlink, same animation studio, please same staff,
right.
like just same old. Let's just keep it going. I love that show. I will be watching this weekly, like
And I think this is
absolutely.
Silverlink's second show for the this season as
Oh, for
well.
this core.
So
Oh, okay.
yeah, well, yeah, I don't know if I mean most of these studios, a decent sized one, have an A, B, and a C team, and
Hmm.
mostly if they're doing production, it's the A and the B, and then the C usually helps, whatever is happening. So I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that
yeah.
Silverlink is also behind Misfit as well. So interesting, they're doing two light novel adaptations this season.
Yeah, and
Um,
they both have pretty decent followings, so yeah.
Yep. I'm less into Bofuri, but only because I didn't really get into the first season. I'm sure it's one of those things where I I have to be coaxed into some slice of life comedies. Like I usually get to it way too late, like years and
Yeah,
years later. I'm
but I
like,
really
oh, this was
feel
good.
I feel as though like yeah, I say slice of life like comedy, but like the action adventure part being like two of the first descriptors are very accurate. Like there's half an episode where the like dual wielding dagger girl, all she does is she's just fighting like these like three bosses in the fucking water. Like it's
Hmm.
awesome. So I mean, there's definitely more beyond Maple just being Maple. Like the other people can actually like haul ass and fight.
No, that's what's up. I think I'm more looking forward to our next series on the list, Vinland Saga season 2, or AKA
Mm.
Farming Saga, because anyone who is a manga reader, that you come off of this like incredible, like emotionally vexing situation, and then right into the farming arc, but
I
it's not quite
mean,
the farming arc.
high key for me, I didn't even finish the first season. I didn't even get to the first half of the first season. I got to the point where I think they were attacking some place and some woman was like, "Oh, you look like my son." And then they came and attacked the village. I was like, "Oh shit, that's fucked up." And then I went to go
Oh,
make
there's even
dinner.
more fucked up stuff. I would just say that this is a Vinland Saga is one of the first examples for me of a series where I got into it at one vibe and I wanted certain things from the series, and then it goes a very different direction than what I thought we were going to get.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that I wanted this other direction a lot more. I just didn't know it. The first season, I think, is very much a roller coaster of emotions because you are set up to want this revenge story, and then it really is a story about personal growth. And I think that you have to be at the
Yeah.
right place in your own life to really, really understand why that's a powerful and probably more valuable story to be telling than what you think you could have based on how, at least in the manga, how well it's drawn, how violent everything is, how cool a lot of the characters are, and their
Mm-hmm.
backstories and the way that they intertwine with the world, which is a historically grounded world. Um, but I guess I'm most interested in this season two, not because I have any questions about the content, but I'm actually more interested in what the audience reaction is because I think Vinland Saga is up there with Berserk. It's up there with
Oh.
Vagabond. It's up there with trying to think of some of these other what I would call like prestige um and very like well regarded manga series that are the I don't know, like maybe back in the day it's like when someone would say, "Oh, you into anime? Did you watch Evangelion?" And then they
Would you say like
sniff their own
Claymore or
hands and
something?
yeah, or Claymore is a little more fan servicey
Oh, okay, okay.
a little bit. Like it's violent, but it's also, like there's horror elements. But what I'm
Titties.
getting at is like it's part of this very well respected class of stories that I think if the first season had not been done to the level of uh care and attention that it had gotten, it would be something that people complain about. That oh, it's a great story, but you got to get over this
Oh.
animation. No, Mappa did it correctly, and so now the fans that the series has gained in the more mainstream audience, I'm curious how they'll react to the direction that the story takes. Because again, it's not like you're not going to have any violence. It's not like you're not going to have any catharsis through like what Thorfinn is going through. But the point of the story, like the hook, the revenge tale, is over. It's not over in a
Oh.
satisfactory way. It's just that part is done, and it's like whatever happens next. We talked about this, I think, with Chainsawman, the author, also the author of Fire Punch, where you read their stories and it's like you get through the main the thing you think the story is about relatively quickly, but the value of their writing and the storytelling is like, okay, well, what do you do after that thing that you thought was going to take up the whole time of the story no longer exists. It's that
Yeah, yeah,
empty
yeah,
space
yeah.
that gets filled up with things that you didn't know that you really wanted until you got it. So, yeah, long story short, I will be watching this. And I'll also be watching the audience reaction.
Okay.
What's
Okay.
next for you?
Um, what's call it? Danmachi season 4 part 5? Season 4. Season
Well,
4
see,
part
that's
2.
the stupid thing. It's season four, part two, but
It's
it has
season 4
a
part 2.
subtitle, and I'm like, just give me just call it season five.
Listen,
Whatever.
I'm like 4 episodes behind, like catching up to it. So I'm gonna catch up to it really quick. But you know how I said like I wish we got back to the dungeon. Them niggas literally said, "You want dungeon, nigga? Go deeper, like go way
Okay, good,
deeper."
good,
So
good, good,
like
good.
they're at the point now where they're in an area where they just should not be because they just
Mm-hmm.
got through struggling on the new area that they went to, and it was just really bad. Like niggas was getting like pin cushioned, like bloody in that bitch. And now they like had a fight, and they didn't kill the monster, and now they're deeper in the dungeon with crazier monsters. They're doing exactly what I wanted. Get us back in the dungeon. I don't care about the politics and the gods on the fucking and like in the starter town or whatever. If that comes into play in the dungeon, yeah, set it up. But I think this is a good way to bring in the Xenos more because who the fuck is gonna help him in the dungeon outside of those Xenos that they've spent so much time developing? So we'll be watching that. Not weekly though. I don't think I'm gonna do it
Okay.
weekly because of everything else that is airing in this season. There are way too many new things that have my attention that I'm kind of just like, I'll get to this when I get to it.
I'm right there with you. Right there with you on that. Yeah, I still am behind actually, even a whole season. Well, maybe it's about yeah, it would be the equivalent of a whole season number of episodes.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
really got to catch up. But like, yeah, I came off the ride. I slowly been getting back on the ride. I'm interested.
It'll
I'm
be there when you
somewhat
get there.
excited.
It'll be
Yeah,
there.
but I will get there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I will make a note, which is I I wonder also what the reaction to a second season of Nagatoro will be, given that we probably that fan
Mm.
base, which is not I'm not a part of that fan base, but those people who are into it have shaken off probably most of the weird accusations that were flying around that show before it came out. You know, because it turned
Yeah.
out to be a relatively tame and a little bit sweet
I was
slice of
worried that it
life
was gonna
comedy.
be like border pedophilia etchy, and it wasn't. And I was very happy
No,
about that.
I mean, like
Very.
to the extent that like sadism in and of itself is sexualized in little
Yeah,
ways,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
maybe, but
yeah.
yeah, but it turned out to be a little more meaty, you know, no pun intended, um, than that. Not that it was really up my alley, but I think that the it's found an audience, so you know, you'll
It
get more of
has.
it.
I'll be
But I'm
watching
not. I
it
won't be watching that one.
because I'll be watching it because people begged me to watch it, and
Oh,
so
did they really?
like, yeah, they begged me to watch it, and then it was one of the best performing things on my channel. So I was like, oh
Well, yeah,
shit.
it has. It 100% has an audience, and I think
Yeah.
that is pretty serious. What else? What else do you got on yours?
I'll be watching by the grace of the gods, but literally in the background, like not even gonna even look up what day of the week it's coming out. I'm just gonna catch up on it one random day when I'm hungover and stuck in bed. Like that's it. That's it. I enjoyed the first season. It is very much so slice of life, like a chill isekai anime. So I feel no like fear of missing out to like watch it every week.
No FOMO for you?
No FOMO for me for not for that at all.
Okay, I think I'm mostly looking forward to the next season of Tokyo Revengers. I think
Mmm.
you know, I always have I'm always I think when it's a show or a series that I already have a history with and it's getting an adaptation, whatever it is, book, manga, light novel, whatever, I'm always half interested in like the actual show, and then the other half of my interest is again in like the audience reaction or the public reaction to it. You know, so Tokyo Revengers when it dropped, I think there was a good amount of hype behind it, but at the end of the day, there was also a groundswell of interest very quickly in the
Yeah.
series. I'm not like I'm not plugged into the social media, but I know that it did very well for quite a lot of people. Now it's been a little bit of a layover, but you know the story
Yeah.
continues, and I think it gets to one of the best arcs in the storyline, at least from a
Hmm.
pure like chaos and violence point of view.
Yeah, the PV looked kind of scary. The new antagonist guy looked kind of crazy, like real
Yeah,
crazy.
and there's a lot of what the thing I like the most about the series is when you get to the point that uh characters are playing either purposefully or inadvertently playing off of the time travel dynamic in some way or another, where it becomes a little more than just a device to get us to the central cast. Because as you know, in the first season, I would say like 90%, with maybe the exception of half of episode 6. And then was it the final episode or the episode before the final episode took place almost exclusively in the past. And so that
Yeah,
meant
yeah,
that you were pretty
yeah.
much only visiting the future to get a quick idea of like what changed, you know, and that was
Mm-hmm.
about it. As the story progresses, the balance becomes a not never gets to 50-50, but the balance gets much more, you get more out of the future stuff. And this is
So
the
like a
season where they'll
60
start to
40
cover
ish or like something like that,
it's still
70
not maybe not like that.
30.
Maybe it's still like 70-30, but there are large parts of the plot that actually need to advance in the future, which
Whoa,
how
okay.
that is able to work and how that fits in with the gimmick of the story
Interesting.
is interesting. It's and they don't take it too far because I'm generally not a fan of like time travel as a mechanic in anything. Not because it's like a bad idea, but it's just hard to balance along with the other basic elements of storytelling. And so they do a very good job here, but but that's really more for I would assume the back end of this next season. The front
Okay.
end is going to be a whole lot of fucking violence, and there are some best boys I think people are going to attach to. If they have not already chosen them, they will choose them uh
Okay.
after the season. So
And we don't
I'm
have
very curious about the audience reaction.
an episode count for this. Do you think they can do this in 12 episodes or
No. If they do,
okay.
it will be one specific arc, and it will be the arc that is pictured in the primary teaser graphic for the season, and I won't give
Okay.
away any more than that. That absolutely could be done in like 8 to 10 episodes.
Okay.
Um, yeah, but I think they're doing more. My guess is that it's a 20 to 24 episode season. That's my
Yeah.
guess. But if not, then there's a stop point. But if they do that, then they're really not going to get to some of the cooler non-past stuff, like the present time stuff. Um, they won't have the time to get there. So yeah, I think I know I will be watching a teensy weensy bit of Inspector because I actually finished season one despite its problems. Um, and all I will say about that is for what the show doesn't accomplish, when I finished season one, I did leave that feeling like this was a show written by adults with a little bit of intelligence, even if some of the ideas were hard to parse or didn't make like they're like you get like a writing prompt that's like not an easy one. It's a difficult writing prompt, and so like
Mm-hmm.
if you're not into the prompt itself, then you're probably not going to be into the way a bunch of good writers might get out of that prompt. So by the end of the first season, I was actually somewhat interested for it to continue, and I will give the first couple episodes a shot. If it still is kind of like slow as the first season was, then I'll just
Yeah.
like wait
I
and get
just
around to it
can't.
later.
I just couldn't get much further into the first season. Like I really
There's a four
struggled.
episode stretch that I think could have been condensed into one episode.
Yeah, yeah, it was rough, and like I do remember you saying you got to the end and you were somewhat pleased, but I was just like, I just don't even see myself getting that far because
Right.
it's just not grabbing me. Um,
Um,
for
what's
my
next for you?
for my next one, the Nier Automata version
Yep.
1.1a. Me myself, I haven't even beat the fucking game, so this is gonna be just an experience of whatever the hell it's gonna be. But it looks good. I'm pretty sure the music's gonna be fucking amazing because even from what I played in the game by itself, the music is great, especially with like the boss battles and shit like that. So I'm looking forward to it. The PVs all look great. It's like a blend of CG and
Mm-hmm.
2D. Like they swap back and forth. I don't care. Looks good to me. I will be watching it. I don't know when it's going to be. I don't know if this is going to be like weekly or if they're dumping them all at once or like what this is going to be because I don't
Yeah.
see any airtime.
And I don't think it's formatted even like a typical weekly show. So
Yeah.
there may be like, 5 or 6 parts,
Mm.
rather than like, 10 to 12, 20-minute, 22-minute episodes.
Which I'm okay with
And
that too. Like
I
that
think it would be
works.
better. I mean, I really appreciate everything that Nier the franchise and Drakengard, but mostly the later stuff has done. It's a fucking bizarre story. So I don't my bigger question is like if you were somebody who played the game and you kind of picked up the game from scratch, so you didn't really know very much about the rest of the franchise entries and only picked up the story they were telling in Nier, I've heard that it could be very polarizing, um, because it is a bizarre world and
Yeah.
deals with a lot of ideas that are interesting but hard to really flesh out even in the stretch of the game. As an anime, which you have to kind of treat as a one-shot story, I don't know if this will be like a good show or it'll be like, you know, 40% exposition dump and then 60% fan
Oh,
service,
yeah.
you
Because it
know?
needs the exposition. Because the story is like, it's,
It's convoluted. It's an
yeah.
interesting story, but it's one that is left deliberately vague and unclear. And so you mostly it's one of the few times where I'm like the video game ness of the game
Mm-hmm.
is actually important to the kind of story that they want to tell. So if you translate that into
Oh.
anime, what are you losing versus what do you have to add that may either take away from the original experience or add something that only works on screen? I don't have an answer to that because if you'd asked me personally to try to adapt this to screen, I would have a very very hard time. That's why like I'm really thinking if it turned out to just be like long exposition dumps and then some gorgeous animation where you get to see and stare at 2D's like 2B's like thighs while
I mean,
she
we're
like
gonna get some
slices
fan
things up.
service. I feel, yeah, we'll get
Oh,
some.
well, I know that. But
Yeah.
I'm saying if it was like if I had to go to someone and say the main reason you should watch this is the fan service, I don't think I'd be very irritated by that. You know, I think that would be
Yeah.
fine. If it's like tries to be very self-important and serious about its storytelling,
Do you think it would
then
be
I
another storyline?
no. I don't, I mean, at least from what I've seen, no.
Okay.
Um, but if they try to take it like super serious, I don't know if that works without the gameplay elements to keep you a little bit pulled back from what's
Yeah.
happening. So like even if you go by the beginning of this without like spoiling anything, you're gonna have to find out about the aliens and the invasion. You're gonna have to find out about like the plan to store people's souls, and then the robots start acting human and da da da. So there's like a lot of stuff there that I think works just fine without any real deep explanation. It's when you get into the other stuff, and I don't want to give away a lot about what that other stuff is, where it's like the weirdest parts of this. I don't know how you talk no jutsu your way through that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
in the game, you have this feeling of like interactively discovering or noticing things. Like I remember like one of the boss fights where like all the robots in like the amusement area that you first come into are like simulating banging each other because this it's
Yeah.
a whole allegory about like death and rebirth and like what it means to be a society. And I'm like, does that translate if instead of like a 15-minute like interactive boss sequence with a lot of weird shit happening, it's 4 minutes of Sakuga with
Oh,
maybe
we're
like
just them
people
running
yelling random like I
around.
yeah like
Yeah.
does that quite have the same impact? Does it? I don't
No.
know. So yeah, so I don't have an answer for that myself, and I prefer not to have to answer that. But out of pure curiosity, I'm definitely checking it out because it looks great.
Okay. What is your next one?
Oh yeah, what is my next one?
Because we're
Going down
going
my
into the
list.
new territory now.
Yeah, so first one is, there's a whole bunch of various isekai things. I've kind of moved away from that. Now there's this like trend of, I was part of the heroes party, but then something happened and now I have
Yes.
to go do something else. So we
Yes.
have the disillusioned adventurers. I will give that a look. What I've
I
seen
like
of
that
it, so
trailer.
yeah, the trailer looked fine. I'm not sure I know enough about the kind of characters that they're showing off beyond, what I saw in the trailer that's going to keep me engaged. It doesn't look like a complete like cheap out either. Like there is
No.
some actual character design there that is, if not unique, at least derivative of things I already like.
Uh huh.
Especially the witch character. I think she looks pretty cool. But after that, I don't know. This may be like a 1 or 2 episode deal, and then I'm out. Uh,
I definitely
so I
want
don't
to
know.
check that out. I have not decided whether or not it's a yes or no though. I will go back real quick though and say that I will be giving the Ice Blade Sorcerer a look or two. I'm gonna give
Hmm.
that one 2 or 3 episodes. Um, it looks interesting. It's probably gonna be an isekai. Not well, it's not an isekai. It's a reincarnation. I think reincarnation fantasy. I'm ordinary, but I'm actually OP kind of thing. I'll see. I'll see. I'll give
We'll
it a
see.
looky loo. But I'm definitely if it's not hitting by the third episode, then I'll be like, all right, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Um, but for my next one, now this PV actually surprised the shit out of me, and I wasn't ready for it. But Reborn to Master the Blade from Hero King to Extraordinary Squire, that shit, they were getting
Kind
down.
of got you a little bit.
They were getting down in that shit. Them girls were fucking fighting like good fighting. I was like, holy shit, okay. I mean, because looking at the visual or whatever, I'm like, oh, is this like the whatever's the Mito one where like all the girls were fighting and they all had their own specialty sword and shit like that? Nah,
Hmm.
this PV was very much so like, bitch, we're about to Sakuga. Like they're about to get in this shit. So I will be checking this one out. I don't know if it has the legs that I'm looking for like something to watch on a weekly basis. But I will be looking to see like how is this going to be a regular thing in the show, or is this just for the PV and all of that? So all those Saga scenes are just spread the fuck out sparingly, and the rest of it is just talking. But I will be checking it out.
Yeah.
I like the PV.
So it's a reborn story with a gender swap, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's really I would say the hook would be like the fan service and the sword fighting, but not like the silly kind, more like
Yeah.
the yeah. I am I, I looked at it and I was like, I've seen this before, but maybe this is a better version of things that I have seen before, you know. So
Okay.
I was passively interested. I would give that one a like I'd watch the first couple episodes, and that would be sort of the that's the energy I'd probably wind up giving it.
Okay.
We may wind up jumping around a little bit here because I know that once we start getting into the back half and some of the more original stuff, that's where our tastes kind of do a
Yeah.
little figure eight. I think the next one that really popped up for me was it Kaina of the Ice Sea or whatever that is, or the of the Great Snow Sea.
That
For
one's
a
like near
couple
the
of reasons.
bottom, right?
Yeah, so the concept behind this one is interesting, but I don't believe it, which is to say, like, it comes off like it's a, snow themed adventure story with like, sort of post
Yeah, I watched that
apocalyptic.
PV too. That looked good.
Yes. Then I noticed that number one, Sawano's doing the main thing, but not the whole
That
music.
was the main
Uh,
thing I noticed from the trailer. The trailer was going, and I was like, "This is Sawano. Is he doing the whole thing? He's not.
he is not.
He's only doing the
I think
thing."
it's Kota Yamamoto, who has some credits on, ironically, some series that Sawano was also involved in. So I don't know if they have
Oh,
like a
okay.
relationship with each other, or not. I think what most people would remember his composer works from would be that where they were on the same project was Seven Deadly Sins, the movie, the Wrath of the Gods
Oh,
movie. But he
okay.
also did like Blue Exorcist with Sawano, and then also assisted as a composer on some tracks for Kingdom, Attack on Titan. I think he made Moriarty the Patriot.
Oh,
Um,
really,
so
Moriarty? Okay.
yeah, and then like some other things that maybe people are not familiar with. This 2023. He's got a bunch of series where he is the primary musical, composer and director.
Director, yeah,
But
yeah.
prior to this, he was basically like backing up Sawano and all that stuff. So,
He's going off
but
on his own more so now.
that's not even the real reason why I attach this. The real reason is that it's written and created as an original series by Tsutomu Nihei, who is the writer behind Blame.
Oh,
So right
haven't
away, and
heard that
Blame
in a
is like
long
one of
time.
my absolute favorite series of all time.
Yeah.
Um, and anything his name is attached to, I will watch, even if it gets fucking weird, like Knights of Sidonia. I don't care. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I will put up with his weird ass shit for almost any any reason. So I am now fully convinced that whatever I saw in the PV is a lie, and there's some dark, deep, and disgusting shit under the surface, and I just want to know
Is
what it
that's
is.
the one where like there's like a different layer above the earth and below and the actual earth is like all snow and like some girl appeared from below.
Yeah, so the plot of Blame is that at some point in the past, machines that people had made
Oh no,
essentially
I meant
went
for this
crazy.
one, not
Oh,
Blame.
for this one.
Yeah.
Yes, but yeah, but it's a lot similar, right? Like the idea.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna say. Like in Blame, you've got like the Earth exists, but then there's been this superstructure that's like built around it and the sun. And so where you enter the story, you are sort of following two characters that are trying to pierce through the various layers, and every time they do, they trigger the machine response, and it's like gets real hairy and whatever. This feels like the other way because in Blame they were trying to go like out, and then
Yeah.
this one, it feels like they're trying to go in. So either way, I'm just ready for some weird fucking shit. That's all I really care about is like, how weird is this going to get? How depressed am I going to be when I get to the end? Or will it ever even have it end?
It does
Yeah.
look good though. Like I do definitely remember that one. That was gonna be when I was gonna check out weekly too.
Yeah. But that one stuck out to me. I know we're kind of a little out of order. So what was your next one?
So my next one, a lot of these I watched the PVs, but I definitely wasn't sold on them. So the next one that I am absolutely watching is Handyman Saito in
I
Another
knew
World.
that. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
Yo, this shit sold me. It sold me because it's gonna be one of those stories where it didn't give me like a goofy vibe. It actually gave me a very like realistic, serious thing where he is just like he's it's gonna be a what's it called, like a coming to terms story with like who he is as himself and like realizing his value beyond things. And you can already like see or you can like listen and you can see like some of the lines from the trailer where they're just like, are you sure you want to go back to the other world, or like we're looking for you in the other world. But then as you go throughout the trailer, you see that he's more appreciated in the isekai world than he is in the actual like original world that he's from. So I'm more so interested in seeing that stuff as opposed, I mean, the dungeon diving stuff and, you know, the fantasy stuff is going to be important to it, I'm pretty sure. But I'm more interested in seeing how his character evolves based off of what they've just given us so far. So yeah, I'm watching that shit weekly, hands
Yeah,
down.
the idea of like the exploited service worker having more value in the fantasy world than in the real world, I think is a perfectly. I've bought into that trope on a
Yeah.
number of occasions.
But
Um,
also, he's not a genius or anything. He's not coming in
no,
overpowered. He's a regular guy.
yeah, I think like all those types of stories tend to at least they lean in a certain direction, which is ultimately about valuing, you know, the hard work of people in like the real world. So there's an actual general takeaway that
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like.
yeah, yeah.
Now, how it gets executed is, you know, hit or miss for me, because sometimes it's, if you want to connect that with a power fantasy, I think it's questionable, because you kind of, your themes are now at odds with each other. Whereas like in a
Mm-hmm.
series like this, if the guy is basically just the humble handyman and it's just about how being a humble handyman in a different context is more appreciated, then I think it's a little, they're actually, these themes are aligned rather than clashing with each other, because
Yeah.
we've done the whole like, well, you know, all I was an office worker, but in this other world, my office work skills make me a god. Like
Yeah.
we've done that story already.
Yeah,
I
like your
think
coding skills make you insanely good at magic or some shit like
sure,
that.
like, and again, you notice in those shows, the reason why they fell off was because it was the writing about all the other stuff around that gimmick that wasn't any good.
No.
You know, the I think we peaked on that with Tanya the Evil, and nobody noticed. You know what I mean? Like we didn't notice that was actually the peak of that concept. Um,
And we still
but
haven't gotten our fucking new season.
no,
Assholes.
I
Come on,
like,
man.
yeah, like I got feelings about that too, but that's
Oh
spotted
my god. Like that shit,
for
like
another day.
how could you not enjoy that? Oh my god. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
What is your next one?
Next one for me is Trigun Stampede.
Okay.
The more I see of it, the more I'm convinced that we'll appreciate that series a lot more once it's out. Which is to say that if you
I've
were
liked the most
somebody,
recent PVs.
yeah, like if you were somebody who was a big fan of the original Trigun, that kind of puts you in a certain era of anime, which
Hmm.
is, you know, like like any series that was like hot from the 90s, these hand animated series. Well, it's been going on, I want to say like 25 years since that was in vogue. And if you were a fan of Trigun coming to it later, you know, I had this conversation with someone else. It was about like, you know, just technology in general. Like there's not a lot more you could do to make a series look like it is from a different era than what they're
Yeah.
doing with Trigun Stampede. And while I'm normally very like iffy about CGI, one of the reasons for that is a lot of times directors uh want to, they're thinking like it's a, like they know their audience is expecting a 2D hand drawn production, so they try to make the CGI work for those sorts of shots, those sorts of directorial impulses in motion. And you get this weird uncanny valley, but it's like an uncanny valley, because the uncanny valley is something looks just real enough to make your brain want to check for all the other features that you would normally recognize in a real thing. But because
Yeah.
it's artificial, you find all the gaps, and then you get this weird feeling in your stomach like something is not quite right. But the uncanny valley is you're doing something that's artificial and you're trying to replicate something else that's artificial. And so as a result of that, your eyes looking for other things that just aren't there. For example, like when you do a motion of like say like a hand chopping across the screen or like somebody running or walking, if it was hand animated, you kind of already have internalized all the visual tricks that like an anime will do to
Yeah.
make that look good. When you're doing something that's CGI, you don't have to do those tricks. You can render the whole damn thing. And so then you see a walk cycle in 3D and you're like, well, that doesn't look like anime. That looks fucking weird. So I say all that to mean like when you watch the new PV for Trigun Stampede, it's one of the first 3D animes that
Mm-hmm.
seems to want to find another style that fits with
Yeah.
it being 3D. There are shots that are in the previews that you cannot do if you
2D.
are doing 2D animation, or if you're going to do them, it's going to be super fucking expensive and you got to do a lot of tricks to make these shots work. Likewise, like all the characters feel like they have a very like I don't know how to say this, but fluid kind of way to their movement that's not quite real. It is still surreal, but
Yeah.
it feels like an artistic choice for this series where like Trigun was always kind of cartoony,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a lot of
It
the
does
comedy
seem
was like
cartoony still.
yes, exactly. And a lot of the comedy actually use a lot of common animated tropes for cartoons. So stretching and squashing and pulling faces, very quickly like going from a realistic view to one that is like, big eyes and big mouth and everything else, right? Which because you always have that slapstick element, you got to figure out another way to communicate that without pulling Vash's face like it's a Warner Brothers cartoon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they do that. They seem to have found like a pretty interesting style. Now, I don't know if it holds up for 12 episodes. I don't even know if it holds up for one episode. But everything I've seen going forward convinces me that like they understand, the directors understand, the producers understand, the animation team understands that if they're going to do Trigun in this way, it's going to have to be different. And this feels different, but it also feels very much the same, which is hard to do. So I'm looking forward just to seeing how they decide to go forward with this continuation of the story.
Yeah. Is that gonna be a weekly one? Or is that Netflix? Yeah, it's weekly.
We'll
Okay.
see. I think a lot of it will ride on the first couple of episodes because even me, like I remember where the series left off, but what that means is
Isn't
like
it
they're gonna
starting
have to.
over?
No, it's a continuation.
Oh, it's a continuation of the story.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So that means that they are going to have to establish new villains. They're going to have to establish a lot of new stuff because the end of anyone remembers the end of Trigun, like that's very definitive. Like there's a couple people lived through it that bad guys who lived through it that like maybe you could have them come back, but for the most part it's done. And there's been a movie um in between that was also very 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 good. So I would just say that it'll my weekly interest in it will ride a lot on how well the storytelling gets me right into whatever the new thing that they're doing is. If it's like a slower, you know, they want to like fill in the edges for people who didn't watch Trigun, it'll probably diminish my interest in trying to follow it week to week. But if they start with at least
Mm,
some action, and then a very clear direction, I wouldn't mind adding it because I think it it's not just a nostalgia watch. They are doing something different here, but I don't know what it is yet.
okay.
What about you?
So my next one that I will be watching weekly is gonna be The Legend of Heroes, Trails of Cold Steel, The Northern War.
Same,
Um,
yeah, same.
and I'm primarily watching that because I played Trails of Cold Steel to this point. I haven't beaten the fourth one yet because it's super long. Oh my god, the fourth one's fucking long. But this war wasn't covered in the story. So no one knows. We only know what happened at the end of it, and we know that Rain came back fucked up. Like he came back fucked up and he lost control and something happened up there. But no one knows what happened, but there are people who allude to it in the rest of the story, like the General Le Guin and all that kind of stuff like that. They say, oh, it wasn't your fault, Reen, blah, 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 shit like that. So Reen is the villain. He's the antagonist in this series. And we're seeing it from the resistance forces side. I'm watching it. Like, I need to know what happened. I just need to know what happened. Because Trails of Cold Steel is such a fucking slow start. Like, so
I couldn't even get out the blocks on that one. Like, I tried.
The entirety of the first game, it took me 2 years to get through the first game because I was like, this is so boring. Like, where is this even going? Like, people like this series, blah, blah, blah. And then the third one came out, and I was like, if this shit it's getting a lot of sequels, so what's going on? Once you get to the end of the first game and like the shit just pops off, all that boring stuff that you were doing in the very beginning literally was just laying the groundwork, and you were seeing all the seeds being planted, but I wasn't a Tales person, and this is what it's like in a lot of Trails of game, like Trails of Cold Steel, Trails of the Sky, all stuff like that, where the beginning parts, especially when it's a new cast, it's a lot of world building.
Because it's like 30 niggas you gotta deal with. Like.
Yeah. And that's the thing, though. They didn't bring the people from previous games in until, like, the last 2 installments of it. So they were literally setting up an empire that had been the antagonist of, like, the majority of these games that no one of the heroes had been inside. So they had to set up, like, the political structure of the empire, who was in charge, like, because a lot of people only knew, like, the Iron Chancellor. But no one knew how he has power, what gave him his power and things like that.
Bro,
so,
I got to that first airship thing in the first game in Trails of Cold Steel. I was like, I didn't even know. Like, I didn't even get the robots yet. I was like, this is just too.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that pushed me. I was like, I know there's a mecha, so I'm gonna keep going because I want to get the mecha. I gotta get the mecha. And when they get the mechas, they get the mechas. Like, that shit, that it is a regular thing. So I'm watching this because I want to know anything that adds to that story. I'm cool with. I'm not about to read none of the like supplementary novels or anything like that. But as far as this, I'm gonna scoop it up, especially because the new one where they go to the other country on the other side of Crossbell Calvard, that battle system and that shit looks so fucking good. It looks so good. They literally took all the money that they made from Trails of Cold Steel and actually upgraded the battle system and like everything. It looks so fucking. And they're on. That's the one thing. My one problem with Falcom. Right. This is my one problem with Falcom. They take their fucking time with fucking getting shit over here. We're literally like 5 years behind on the series.
I always get the feeling like I'm playing a game from 10 years ago. Like, whenever I get one,
because you are.
Yeah, because I am.
The fact that the fan translators can get the shit out like 2 years before the actual thing. So I've even been researching like the Kira no Kiseki shit. Like, they literally have fan translations of that shit. Like, where, you just read it like it's subtitled in Japanese. Like, I'm about to do that shit because I keep seeing footage and scenes, and I see these characters that I know from other series, and I'm just like, oh, why are you over there? I need to know. Why the fuck are they on the second version of this arc? And we haven't even, like, there's Trails of Cold Steel 4, and then there's Trails to Reverie, which, like, apparently is really fucking good, but it's on the old battle system, and then it goes to the Calvar games, Kira no Kiseki. So, oh, wow, we're doing a whole fucking Trails thing. I'm watching the damn show, y'all. I'm watching the show.
I'm also going to try to watch it. This is what I want. I'll be very, very brief. I want to turn that show on episode 1 and then feel like, oh, shit, this is good. I should go play these goddamn games. If I don't feel that way, I don't care what they're doing in that series. I'm just not going to watch it. Not because it's bad. Just because, like, well, then what is the point? Yeah.
But also,
so we'll see.
Knowing them, it's probably not going to pop off from the beginning. They're probably, because all these characters, we don't know who the fuck they are. So they're going to do the typical Trails, like, This is their daily life, blah, 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 blah. And you're going to see niggas in the back. Now, for people who've played the games, we're probably going to see people in the background that we know already
Yes.
who are going there to like scout the area before they like move in and fucking attack them niggas. We'll probably see this. So people who know the series and know what happened like before and after that war, we're probably gonna see niggas like for sure. But if you're going in blind, I don't know. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, that's
I don't
probably
know.
where I'm at this point as well.
I hope it's good though. I hope it's good. I really do hope it's good.
I don't know if I hope it's good or bad. I think I'm more like, sell me on this series. If this won't do it, I feel like I'm gonna have to just miss on Trails because I've tried to play like every iteration
It
of these
is.
games.
It does get so much better. Now
I know.
for you
I
yourself,
know.
I don't know about you because you guess like so many fucking plot lines. But I think the thing with you though is that because you don't know anything out about the trail. Wait, have you played the other trails like Trails in the
I played
Sky?
the very first like Trails or whatever, Trails in the Sky or whatever that
Yeah,
one
yeah, yeah,
was.
yeah.
I played like every version of that, and I always stop at the same part super early because it's so fucking slow. Um,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
I played the first Trails of Cold Steel because that was supposed to be the one with like the giant robots and it was 3D, and I was like, it's the same shit. I'm like, there's a million characters in this fucking school. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it's
And
but
some of
I
them
want to like it.
that was my thing though. Trails of Coastal was my intro to the series, and like by like the second and third game, know it like the people who come in from the other games because there's so much exposition in the fucking game, they adequately explain who these people are and how they fit into stuff. So, and then by the time you get to the fourth game, where like the whole fucking world comes into, or the whole continent comes into shit, you definitely know who niggas are from the other games
Yes,
because
I know. It's a huge world, and if I could just wrap my head around one game, I feel like I'd be good.
you
So
be in, yeah.
maybe this will do it for me.
Maybe you just
I
need to wait for Kira no Kiseki
I don't
because like
fucking
that's a new
know. Is
country.
that the cop one? Is that where you play like police?
Yeah, he's supposed to be a detective.
Okay,
He's
maybe
a
that'll be more
detective,
grand.
and you
I
know
don't know. I don't know.
he's a sentai.
Stop,
He's
stop,
a
stop.
sentai. They literally. That's why I want it in America because apparently they have like these fairies. I don't know who the fucking fairies are, but the fairies transform them into like cyborg animalistic sentai.
That's hilarious.
It's cool as fuck.
That's
It looks
hilarious.
so cool. So I need
Okay.
it. I need
All
it.
right. All
So
right.
they
All
took
right.
they went away from the mecha and more so towards like animalistic powers, or that's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I haven't read any synopsis because I want to play the game. I want to play the game. Falcom. Okay.
All right. Well,
Trails.
next on my list, which I had originally kind of walked on past, I thought I knew what it was, but
Uh
it's
huh.
not, is actually Mononogatari with the malevolent spirits.
Oh,
It
so is
actually
this
looks
one of the
like
ones? Is because I know this series has just a shit ton of iterations, right?
no, that's exactly why I got it wrong because you're thinking of
Oh,
Monogatari, not
yeah.
Mononogatari.
Oh,
So this is a series from the same studio that was doing Gintama, which recently finished up. I
oh.
don't know if it's original or not. I doubt it. It
No,
might
it's
come from
manga.
it might yeah, so it felt like it came from a manga, just from the structure. But it's what I think of as my like I don't know, like the ham sandwich of my anime viewing. Something that is easy to understand, uses familiar ideas, and is just like presented exactly as what it is. So, as far as I can tell from the previews, it's a supernatural seinen slash shonen battle series
Yeah.
with a lot of like weird and wacky supernatural powers, but then some like pretty straightforward shit. That's all I really need, to be perfectly honest.
Strafe, yeah.
It doesn't have like a like swag. You know, like everyone is kind of all the character designs I've seen are either pretty grounded in what you would just see out of like a middle class, working class kind of world because it takes place
Yeah.
in the real world. So it's not like Bleach where like oh, we're fighting the hollows, the
Yeah.
yokai, you know. But everyone is fucking dripped out, and there's all these swagged out characters. Like it's not like that, but it is still like a seinen style battle series, and I'm a sucker for it. I probably put it in the same category as like Shinobi no Ittoki. But again, I thought it was a Monogatari TV
Yeah,
series,
I did
and I
too.
just and I just write those off not because they're bad, but because it's like, all right, well, I have like 3 movies to watch, and it's a weird fucking series. This could be like with
I
Monogatari,
don't
you
even
could
know
get
where to
like
start.
you okay. Well, we can talk about that a different time. But like with Monogatari, if they tell you there's a new like movie coming out or a new OVA or whatever coming out, it could be about very straightforward mainline characters problem solving and fighting, or it could be a movie about like the cat of one of the third you know antagonists who kind of became a good guy and then died, and now the series about the cat turned into a girl doing something. I'm like, I don't need all that shit in my life. I don't fucking need that shit. I
What?
don't need it. Too complicated. So that's why I usually just walk on by, because it's like, if it would be good, but I need to rejigger my context. So I just ignored it. And then I was like, wait a minute, there's an extra syllable in there. And I went and I looked in and I was like, oh,
That's a
this is
good
just a
fucking catch. Cause I skipped it too. I was like, bye bye. No,
yeah,
no.
no, it looks like a supernatural seinen battle series, and that's all you need to get me to at least watch an episode. And
Uh
then
huh.
BN Pictures also did Tiger and Bunny, the latest Tiger and Bunny. So I know that, like, if it's a manga adaptation, they've got, that plus Gintama, they've got some good directors there that know how to spice things up. So am I expecting it to be, a AAA production? Absolutely not. But I don't need it to
Mm-mm.
be. Um, and yeah, so that it's just on my list. It's not like, bro, we must watch this, but I'm there for it
Um.
at least.
So then my next one, which is also another like CG one, um, it's an original one, the Giant Beasts of Ours.
Mm-hmm.
I'm I don't know. I want to watch it though because the PV didn't have English subtitles, so I don't typically like. I didn't get like a super duper good feel of what the fuck was going on, but I am
Mm-hmm.
interested in it. So I'll give that an episode or two. I definitely can't say this is gonna be a weekly thing unless it like comes out of nowhere and I'm like, holy shit, like you gotta watch this. Oh my god! But
Yeah,
that one caught my
Asahi
eye.
has like weird range because it's a studio that did Peach Boy Riverside, but they also
Oh,
but no,
okay,
no, before
okay.
you before you
I didn't
before you get
dislike
excited,
that. I just
they
didn't
also did
continue.
they also did Doll's Frontline. So it's like,
Okay.
which are you gonna get?
That means we got a lot of
Especially,
money.
I mean, that's also true. I mean, one thing is that the animation will be pretty interesting. I saw
Yeah.
some clips from that one, and it definitely was like, okay, there's some ideas here that could be cool, but I gotta see
I
where
don't
where we're taking this.
want another Fina pirate princess. Don't give me no more of that shit, y'all. Like, I don't want it. I don't want it
And it
because
wasn't because there was like a bad idea behind it. It was just the way the story wound up executed.
yeah,
Um,
just don't give me another one of those Finas.
in
Like,
a perfect world, given like the level of creativity you could have, because you can already see that there's like influences from some Attack on Titan, but also like other stuff in there. I would love it
yeah.
if it had if this series ours had like the vibe of, like, I don't know, what is that, Shadow of the Colossus. That could be cool,
Oh,
right? That'd
okay.
be pretty interesting. I love the literal monster of the week, but like, as we know from series that kind of snuck this in, All Noah Zero was basically that, right? It was like, how do you creatively kill these overpowered giant things with your lower technology? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm with it. This could be cool, but I definitely am gonna give it a shot. I definitely probably would even give it like a 3 episode rule, because what I saw in the preview was a wide range of stuff, and I want to know what the vibe, what is it? What's it gonna be?
Yeah.
Um, One that I am not so worried about, because I think it may sneak up on me, is actually Revenger. Um,
Okay.
and the
Really?
reason why is like, it's bloody as fuck.
Yeah.
It's semi historical. there seems to be some comedy. I mean, it is like literally a revenge story. So the premise is assassin gets hired to do a job, winds up things happen, and they wind up teaming up with the last survivor of the group that they were going to kill. So it's already giving you like the little girl and the protector vibe. But I also
Yeah,
saw
yeah,
some like
yeah.
really interesting, um, more fantastical like mechanical things that people had that were like the bow, like the crazy like auto bow and that kind of shit. So I feel like this could be a hype machine, low key, and having like lots of colorful enemies with varied
Mm-hmm.
abilities that you had that the main cast has to figure out how to kill or not be killed by creates like nice little puzzles. Remember what I said about like shonen slash seinen battle series? This is another one of those, but it's like got some swag to it a little bit, like stylistically and
Oh yeah, it's
power
got
wise.
something. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I can see
Um
this one sneaking up on me because I saw some shit in that preview that, if properly set up, I could get hyped for. Could. I don't know. I'm not hyped for it right now, but I could be hyped for it.
I side-eyed this one because there are too many pretty boys in it.
There you go.
There were too many pretty boys, and I was kind of just like, not that there can't be like a full cast of pretty boys like slicing niggas and dicing niggas, like the course that's happened before, but I just don't trust the character designs. I don't know if it's a bait for something, or if they all just were just like, we're just actually gonna make these niggas like extremely attractive and just like extremely brutal. That I side eyed it. I don't know what I'm gonna be getting.
Yeah, I
So
don't have the subtext as to what else is supposed to be going on here, but what
yeah.
I saw was like what I a balance that I like. Which, in fact, in a lot of ways, it kind of feels like a more um
Is this
fantastical, or
original?
I think so.
Yeah, it
I
is.
think it is.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's a little more like fantasy version of Golden Kamui in the dynamic of like little girl,
Oh, this is the
high
studio
powered
that did
like,
Kimono Jin.
yeah,
Okay.
high powered assassin. But again, I saw like powers and abilities there as well, and like you know,
Oh, okay, okay.
technology that shouldn't exist in that era, but they've kind of dressed it up to make it kind of look like it could be. So it's fantasy, but it's the kind of like historical fantasy I'm into. So like show me some creativity and I'm all about that. Like I got no issues if it's derivative, because again, if people can get brutally killed, we got some stakes. And if we got enough cool powers and other like wacky characters, like I'm all the way for it. I'm with it.
You know what?
Um
I'll trust them. They did Bookworm. I'll trust them. We'll see how this goes.
So my next series is in the very same vein, though I think the production values might actually be higher, which is High Card. I don't know if you paid attention to this one.
I did not pay attention to that at all. Let me watch this shit right now. What is it about?
So the way I can tell is, so High Card appears to be a kind of like semi supernatural uh action series where the main cast are like a secret service or private secret service like protection company that works for the British government, and they have
Wow.
to, they take jobs, and they're obviously taking jobs against other high powered individuals, all of which have unique abilities. Usually they're trying to kill somebody or do something else. So it's a very like, again, like
Ooh.
seinen
Okay.
shonen, but more shonen than seinen battle series with a lot
You
of really
know
cool
what?
effects, an interesting like almost James Bondy kind
It
of,
looks really good. I'm surprised. I skipped the shit out of this. I didn't
yeah,
pay
like
no
a
attention to this.
very like James Bond vibe. But again, like it's a series that is clearly prioritizing the rule of cool over like, oh, this makes a lot of sense, which I
Which that's
prefer.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I prefer. And there's some style to it, that is feels unique. It feels like something other series aren't doing. There's a fair amount of CGI, but it's inoffensive. And realistically, what I like about these types of series is they can go two ways. They could just try to be over the top and fun, or they can get like really pretty and brutal. And the line between those two different sorts of features can produce a lot of really fun stuff. Like I don't need this to be, JoJo level of complexity, but there's some fucking style here. There's
Mm.
some swag. There's some cool shit. This niggas making poses. This dude's getting like dissected with playing cards and fucking
Yeah.
beads and all kinds of heavy firepower and guns, magic. Niggas setting shit on fire. Awesome outfits. Pretty ladies. Like, yeah, go for it. Let me see what you got. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Whatever. So I'm ready to roll with the nonsense on high card
Yeah.
and just see
Hopefully
where it
it doesn't
goes.
end up like that Danganronpa style esque one about the soccer where them niggas was like
Oh
super
yeah, no, that
overpowered
I
and
was
then
worried about that one from jump to keep it a buck. Like when I saw that, I was
oh.
like, I don't know if this is gonna quite do it,
It didn't do it
but
for me at all. Nice effects. They had a budget for the first episode for a little bit. That was it.
I think it was at the game that they were trying to push on us like it's supposed to be interesting. Just came
Yeah.
off as stupid, and I'm
Well,
like,
they
well, I don't really.
dropped the seriousness because people wanted to see the war that happened before
Yeah,
they agreed to do like the game thing, and it just didn't work
shit
out like
didn't do
that.
anything for me. I wasn't like,
Yeah.
oh, it's like fishing. I don't care. I don't care. So anything else that's sort of lingering?
Um, Oh, Bunny Daddies. That seems cute. It seems cute. They're both
Yeah.
like, they're both like whatever detectives or whatever, contract killers, blah blah blah, etc. etc. But I like the element of a child just like randomly like walking out into like the shit and them having to like change everything because you have a child with you. Like,
Yes.
I think that'll make for some like, well, it's comedy, so it'll make for some funny stuff. But also, I feel like a show like this would definitely have some like real fucked up shit happening in the background because children are involved with it. So most likely, like, people stealing the children or like something centered around the
Mm-hmm.
child or related to the child where they take care of the little girl and then they grow to like her, and then when something happens or they get a case that deals with children, it hits home even more, and that involves the characters or whatever. Or whatever. We'll see. We'll see. But I like it's colorful. It looks like it would be a fun ride. So
Yeah,
I
it
would
has
check
a
that one
very
out.
jazzy vibe to it, so like I like
Mm-hmm.
that. And it's again like it's not
Its color
there's some
palette
style
honestly
to it.
reminds me of like Banana Fish promotional material.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, there's some style to it, right? And that's the thing is that if depending on how effective that is, could
Mm-hmm.
carry me through whatever parts of it are maybe like not for me or don't quite work. So like I always got to give I will always give the benefit of the doubt to like trying something rather than being playing it too safe or like being very bland. So
Yeah.
I'll definitely give that one a watch, even if it doesn't turn out to be the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Um,
I think that's
yeah,
all for me.
that's about it for me. I'm still irritated that we're not getting Hell's Paradise, but
That announcement is coming what next Sunday.
I don't know what's going
So
on.
I mean,
But
Mappa literally has a million and one things. So
they do. I noticed that I think they have three series this quarter, right?
yeah,
Am I wrong about that?
what
Or is
is
it two?
it?
Maybe it's two.
It's
So
Vinland.
Mappa Studios are the it's Blue and Red are their two production teams.
Okay.
Um they're doing that cooking isekai
Oh yeah, that one.
and yeah,
Campfire cooking. Yeah.
correct, right. They're also
I feel
doing
like
Vinland
that shouldn't
Saga.
take much effort.
It shouldn't, but it is a whole ass show, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I'm with you 100%. But yeah, I think them having Vinland Saga as well as um or I guess following up from Chainsaw Man that first season because that's not a double core, so they should be fully wrapped on that one. But you have to think
Yeah.
like simultaneous to all this happening, they're still doing Jujutsu Kaisen season 2 this year or this coming year,
Yeah,
and they've been
it's
working on
dropping
that, and they
sometime this year. Yeah.
right, but they've been working on that, so that's what I mean. Like they have two mainline teams, which is the red and blue team. Presumably, both of those teams are engaged on one. I think red is probably on Vinland Saga, and blue is or was on that Isekai show. So in the midst of all that, they are also doing all of the prep work and stuff for Jujutsu Kaisen.
Mm,
That is happening right now. So that's kind
yeah.
of my thing is, we are a month out from the end of, well, not a month, maybe like less than that, 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks from the end of this season. They would have all the stuff that's airing now is definitely in the can and out. Then they're still doing probably the final prep for the things that are going to run next season. And they've been working on Jujutsu Kaisen for a year and a half, from what I heard. So
Damn. Oh, so these are gonna be insane then.
I
Oh
mean, I
wow.
assume so. I just don't want these niggas to die. You know what I mean? Like, there's a very good chance that like there will be a non-zero number of deaths associated with this production schedule. But it is what it is. I'm a live with my Eminence and Shadow for another season and be fine. You know,
Yeah,
Eminence
I'm
and Blue Lock, we good. So
exactly like if anything will carry me through, it's those two.
that's pretty much it. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, not the worst, right?
Yeah,
Not
that we actually
crazy.
moved pretty quickly. That time, even ironically though, maybe we moved faster because we knew we had more, as opposed to just talking about the
Right.
stuff in general. But yeah, that's the tentative game plan,
Tentative.
and
Yeah.
that just because we mentioned it here doesn't mean we're gonna bring it up on the show regularly. Like,
Absolutely not.
is it?
In fact, I would say like probably the our review habits won't change too much since we have Eminence and Blue Lock as sort of
Already unlocked.
they're already there. I am
Yeah.
really hoping that at least one of those back end sort of action series for me
Surprises.
personally works out. I know one thing we didn't mention, but it's probably because most people don't think about it. But like Bungo Stray Dogs is quietly doing its thing
Oh
with the
no,
fourth.
I'm planning. I'm a full season behind on that. But I watched what is
Okay.
it? I watched the Bad Apple movie or whatever, and then I
Mm-hmm.
started the third season. But I was confused with the third season because I thought I missed something because it like went back in time.
Right.
And so I was like, wait, what the fuck is this? I miss something? Like, why are we doing this with them? But yeah, I just have to finish the third season. But I want to watch Bungo Stray Dogs 4. Like, because I
Yeah.
enjoyed both of those seasons.
Yeah, so like quietly it's just out here hanging on, but like I really want one of these original or manga adaptations to work out. We'll see if we get anything out of that class of series. I don't know. I mean, Trigun is also one that like my fingers are crossed over, but
Mm-hmm.
if it doesn't hold up, I'm not destroyed by that.
Yeah.
The only thing I want to complain about a little bit, but that's just it's my cross to bear, is that there's no mecha series at all. Nothing.
Well, you know how things have
Nothing.
been going. I
Oh, I
mean,
know. We don't even have a bad one. Like at least
yeah.
throw me some whack shit. No, we
Yeah,
got
Megaton
nothing.
Musashi, no nothing.
We got
Just
nothing.
but I think
So
what's call it is supposed. I mean, well, no, they're doing. Apparently, they're doing like repeat Gundam stuff while Witch from Mercury takes its break.
sure.
I think Witch from Mercury is taking a 2 core break, so it'll be back in the summer. Yeah, I think it's coming back in the summer.
I guess like
Um,
maybe Legend of Heroes kinda. Eh.
let
There's mecha in it. I don't know if this series will have any of that, but
I mean, oh, you mean the Northern War?
yeah.
Yeah, no, oh fuck, whatever his name is, Valvrave, not Valvrave. Oh shit,
Ah.
oh my god, whatever. Reen's mech is definitely part of the war because it like
Okay.
yeah, so it's gonna show up. I don't think, but that's the thing though. At that point in the story, like that's like the only mech, like
Yeah.
going around. Of course, like more coming. Well, you gotta play a game to know where the other ones come from, all kind of stuff like that, and what happens, and what is reverie, and all this shit like that. But yeah, I mean, we don't have anything, but I'm not really surprised because like the people they just don't, they're just not unless you are into mecha. I feel like they're having a hard time like transitioning people just to even get to check it out.
I know. I'm bitching, especially because Witch from Mercury's been so good this season.
It's been doing a really
Like
good job. It's
it's
been
been so
so
good.
good. I think it might be the start of a new class of mecha people, like, being interested in it. I just wasn't expecting this shit to be this good, to be honest. And it's just been good. It's been good every single episode, and I think it's gonna turn people onto the genre way
Hmm.
more. Now they might be disappointed when they see the quality of the other mecha shows whenever they do come back, but that's, if you like it, you like it.
Yeah, so I'm just moaning and complaining about the things I normally moan and complain about. There ain't no way nothing's gonna change. It's just it is what it is. We know what we have to expect. We know what's coming,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully this won't be a crazy season, right? We'll find a rhythm.
I mean, I don't want the majority of these to fall flat. It would be great if the majority of them were great. That means we have stuff to watch for days
Yes,
and catch
yes.
up
I
on.
never hope for failure.
Yeah, I'm not hoping for failure. But in the event that they all do turn out to be great, then, like, I mean, they're just gonna a shit ton of stuff is gonna be on the back burner. More content, more stuff to watch in the future, but ain't no fucking way we're watching the majority of these this season. Like, insane, insane. But good
Yep.
though. Good. Is this what you say? This is like the recovery from COVID. Like, things are going back to what they should have been before
Yes.
COVID. Like, came out of nowhere and like fucking sideswiped everyone off their feet.
Well, you can see how it basically took like almost 2 years, really.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's because that's about how long it takes for most series to get off the ground. We went through, there were these weird, like lean seasons where there was literally nothing. And then you started
Mm-hmm.
to see these like back to back to back to back, like just packed, big stuff coming up, stuff like from the same studio, even tripping over itself. And I think this is the first time I would say that, like, if you look at the returners, there's like a couple that were like tent poles, but not a lot of competition at the top. My Hero Academia is probably the most recognizable, returner that is even following on from a prior season. But like some of the series, like remember there was a season maybe like 5 years ago when like Don Machi was the craze.
Don
It
Machi was
was
it. Yeah.
it was the move, and then now it's sort of everything's kind of like quieted down to a more reasonable level. And I look at the studios that are sort of leading the pack these days, and it's the usual suspects. But there was a point, like I know Bones went through some bullshit. Like they basically one of their studios, like the personnel of it all quit and founded a new company, so that also didn't help. Um,
Oh.
like
Oh, I wonder
Silverlane,
how that's gonna affect Skate season 2. Oh boy.
I have no idea. Well, this happened like a few years ago, so I'm just saying that
Oh, okay,
you
okay,
could
okay.
see the effects, that plus COVID, on
Oh
a
yeah,
lot
with
of
everybody
places.
bitching about My Hero. Oh, it doesn't look as good as it used to. Blah, 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 blah. Okay,
Yeah. Also,
whatever.
just as like a interesting FYI, so Mappa right now is in the same position that Madhouse was in. It's talked about in the industry like 7 or 8 years ago.
And
In
aren't
terms
Mappa
of
people
like,
from Madhouse?
yes, I was about to
Yeah.
say the irony of what I expect to happen to Mappa in the next like 5 years is the exact same thing would happen to
Collapse.
Madhouse. Yeah, like they're like I bet you some animation directors are gonna move on talking about the crazy work schedule because they're I think that now they usually do like 5 series concurrently, like at different places in their pipeline, and that's
Yeah.
a fucking killer. uh so I wouldn't be shocked to see like Mappa not fall apart, but like some of their top folks leaving to form a new studio sooner rather than
And then
later
start the
because of
cycle
it,
all over again.
and start the cycle all over again. So I'm just saying it doesn't surprise me, that might happen. So if it does happen, you you heard it from us that it was the writing is on the wall because the kind of schedule they're on can't be sustained, and also the kind of schedule with very 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 high profile series.
Mm.
That's the thing. Normally what a studio does is they have one series every year that's like their A, they put all their A people on it, and then as they get burnt out, they cycle them back to the B thing, whatever it is, like some easy slice of
Yeah.
life, whatever. There's not a lot of work to it. Mappa's like, nah, bitch. What are all of the most desired and like they've got Chainsaw Man back now. They're gonna be working on Jujutsu Kaisen. They got we got Hell's Paradise. They're still doing some of these other bigger series like Vinland. The
Attack
fact that
on
they're
Titan is
yeah, Attack
coming.
on Titan, Vinland. So like they are grabbing up all of the high profile ones. So
Hopefully
that's all I'm
the
saying.
execs don't take the money and run.
Well, that I hope does not happen. That has happened, but I hope that does not happen.
Yeah.
So anyway, looks like this is a reasonable winter, and I hope that all the folks who give this a watch find something out of this list or just something that appeals to you, and you have an enjoyable time while we freeze to death.
Yeah. Oh my god. No, it's gonna start snowing.
We already got it. It's already
Oh,
come
it
down.
did.
So
Oh, see, I just hid in the house. I saw people
yeah,
saying that it was, and I was like, well, I'm not, especially not leaving now.
no,
Um, all right, but yeah, that's it for this episode, y'all. If you want, follow us on the socials, especially on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. And then you can follow us anime_savants on Twitter. And everywhere else is just regular at Anime Savants on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, your podcast platform of choice. Also, if it does give you the option, please give us a rating on your platform, whichever one you're listening on.
yes, super helpful to us. Also, you can reach me anytime at Neural Handshake on Twitter, and we keep it easy breezy for the wintertime. So nothing
Yes.
crazy.
Yes. All right. All right. That's all.
Peace out.
Bye.